What's up? Welcome in. Hoge Jahns back with you. And together again. Johnsy's back.
I'm back, baby.
Feeling good, looking good. What's going on?
Almost there. It was good to watch practice with you and the rest of the media. Feels like Bears football with some interesting topics is back for the time being.
Yeah. I always like this time of year. It's like I don't know, it's not quite spring training, but it's similar, mostly casual vibes and
It's positive. And we've been through this before. It's like opening a new toy every 3 years here in Chicago, where it's something new to watch, new coaches to learn, new coaches to watch, new coaches to hear from. It's all kind of new, and I know we're going to get into that here in a little bit.
oh, it's the same. We were checking all the boxes yesterday. We got the quarterback looking so and trying to figure out how much people should freak out about it or not. And it's our fault.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah. No, we do this every year. And then we got the footwork thing. We checked that box. We switched the feet around. So we went through that with Justin Fields. Now we're doing that with Caleb Williams. We got the new coaching staff. So we're doing all that. Yeah. This team is just completely cyclical. It just is. It 100%. It's honestly funny. One of these times it's going to turn into a winner. And I think, this probably has the chance of all of these cycles we've been through of having the most success. But regardless, come on, we have to laugh a little. It's literally the same storylines.
Yes, it is.
Except for the part of the book came out where the guy might not want to be here and all that, which you haven't talked about yet. So
we can get into that now or later. Do your thing. Tell everybody where to find us.
I'm sorry. It's funny. Find us pretty much everywhere, I think. You can find us on Twitter at Adam Hoge, at Adam Jahns. At Hoge Jahns is the show account, the Instagram account, HoganJahns.com, where you find the merch like that shirt Johnsy's wearing today. Katie Langen is our producer. And I think we should actually start with some fun news this morning. If we can start with that, Johnsy. I was expecting this. I just didn't know if there'd be 2 joint practices or 1, but Ben Johnson did tell us in Florida that he would love to have 2. Both the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills will be coming to Hallis Hall this summer in August for joint practices. We're well on record at this point by saying we love these. It's a great way to break up training camp, create some new competition. Just they're fun. We've never had 2 in the same preseason, so that's cool. And both of these, in my opinion, are fun teams to go up against. We've had the Dolphins come to Hallis Hall before, but Mike McDaniel wasn't the head coach the last time the Dolphins came. And so that's always a fun storyline. And I don't know. But Johnsy, we've kind of had this long-standing thing about how we need to get Mike McDaniel on this podcast.
This is our opportunity.
We might have to figure that out.
I'm on it. We have to.
Come on. He's going to be there at I'm
going to send the request today, I think. I'm serious about this.
You should.
I am.
Get it on the radar now. There might be one string we might be able to pull to get this to happen too. But I'd love this. Yeah. We got to work on this.
Well, I want to know about the string.
Well, we'll save
the string for later.
Yeah, we'll save the string for later. But the second one, Buffalo Bills, Johns, there's 2 interesting wrinkles to this. One is the Bills are on Hard Knocks this year. So some of that you would think, the Bears won't be the focus.
If somehow the Bears sneak in a segment about their stadium plan, I would be actually immensely impressed. Like just somehow 10 seconds mentioning their stadium plan in Arlington Heights. I would actually be so impressed at the maneuvering of making that happen. Like it's like I'm just for it. I want to see that. That's my challenge for the Chicago Bears. Hard Knocks is coming back, but you're not the star. But you got a stadium in the build. Somehow fit it into the Bills' Hard Knocks because they're building a stadium too, I believe.
They are. Those not only are those shovels in the ground, but the steel beams are way up in the air.
So there you go. You have Bills management and Bears management captured on the sideline talking about the stadium projects.
I mean, everybody on that Hard Knocks team already knows the ins and outs of Hal's Hall. They know where the boardroom is. They know where to film it. They can get that. I love that idea. That's fantastic. The other wrinkle, this is Mitch Trubisky's return to Hal's Hall.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I totally forgot about that one. That's going to be fun.
Yeah. It's been a bit, but maybe we get Mike McDaniel on the Dolphins week and Mitch Trubisky on the Bills week. Something tells me that second one's more of a long shot, but
Mitch is a good guy. He might go for it. At this point, I think he might go for it.
Okay. Well,
just to have fun with it.
I love joint practices. I'm excited. I'm excited about both. When I saw the preseason schedule come out and those two teams on there, I was like, "Ooh, this could be good."
My only question is it 1 day each or 2 days each, or 2 days with the Dolphins, 1 day with the Bills? That's a lot of contact. 4 days over 2 weeks like that. I'm like, don't even bother going to the preseason games because of what's going to happen in the days before. But they're back-to-back Sunday games, which gives the teams more flexibility. Wednesday, Thursday, like practices with Friday off, Thursday, Friday practices with Saturday off.
Right.
Do the Dolphins and Bills want to spend some time here? That's the question.
Yeah, I didn't really. Yeah, that's a good point. It might only end up being one practice. Last year was just one practice against the Bengals, remember? And it was a rainy practice. It almost didn't happen. They kind of had to force it. Don't tell me those practices don't matter because the Bengals look terrible. And then they had a kind of a bad year. So, well, that was the news of the morning, and that's fun. We also saw OTAs yesterday. Speaking of rain and crappy weather, don't know if summer's ever going to come here, but if it does, maybe they can get back outside. The last couple of days they've been inside the Walter Payton Center, which is where we were yesterday to watch OTAs. Johns, what were your big takeaways here? Let's jump in.
Well, on the field, it was Ben Johnson yelling at Cole Kmet. I think we all saw it. Everybody in the entire Walter Payton Center saw it because practice was briefly stopped. This was I believe it was 7-on-7. So Cole Kmet lined up in the wrong spot, and Ben Johnson did not like it whatsoever. And the spot, based on my recollection, wasn't exactly like 15 to 20 yards. He wasn't on the wrong side of the field, but it was noticeable enough for Ben Johnson where he had to stop, yell at his veteran tight end. They rehuddled, and they got back on the line of scrimmage. And I think that it followed up with a completion. It was actually a nice little play, nice little concept.
Cole, right?
No, I think it was.
Oh, I thought it went to Cole. Okay.
I thought it was the running back. I'm giving up away details. I believe it was the running back or slot receiver releasing into the right flat. Anyway, it was a good little concept. By the way,
just to pause you 1 second. Something tells me Ben Johnson's not going to be as paranoid about giving away details. I don't know why. It's just a hunch. And that's not really a detail, by the way, but I don't know. He seems to embrace yeah, whatever. We're still going to beat you. He just seems to have that confidence to him.
Well, he's been like that since day one, where he said he wanted that smoke, as I had in one of my articles about facing the NFC North. Was not scared away whatsoever. And then his answer about if Chicago is the place where quarterbacks go to die. He loves that. He wants that challenge.
Yeah, that was probably the quote of the day.
I like that about him. How could you not like that about him?
I love that about him, and I actually don't First of all, let me back up. Okay, the Cole Kmet thing, little context to that, because I don't want that to be taken out of context. First of all, anybody who's coached any level of football or really any sport can relate to this. When you're having a practice where things aren't necessarily going right and it starts to build up, sometimes the wrong person just gets caught at the wrong time, making the wrong mistake, and gets the ire of the head coach because it just starts to build. And that's kind of what I thought with Cole, because if you have been watching closely to that point, he had them rehuddle multiple times, whether it was a wide receiver that didn't have the right thing or the quarterback who had called something differently. And he had his radio like this.
He seemed on top of Caleb Williams throughout that practice.
Absolutely 100%. So it just seemed to reach a boiling point, I think, where Cole, who I'm guessing they have higher expectations for at this point in his career. Hey, man, can we at least count on you to line up correctly? Like these young guys is one thing, but could you at least I don't know the whole thing. Obviously, we can't hear everything that's being said out there. We're close enough, but that was my read on the situation. And I think it was that, but I definitely think it was an important moment because if you're anybody on that field, forget us, forget the season ticket holders that were up, on the balcony. Like if you're just a player, or even another coach on the field, and this is only the second time they've been out there together, and you see him target a veteran like that and, get on his ass for not lining up correctly, your attention better be raised. I mean, you better be getting focused for the next practice.
It's extremely important to challenge your veterans like that. It's extremely important to challenge your best players, your leaders like that, because the ripple effect is immensely important. Maybe the mistake was minimal. Maybe it was like, this is the brilliance of some coaches too, right? Where you're challenging your best players. Like it's almost like a setup. Like it's bound to happen. Mistakes are going to happen. But by challenging your best players like that, vocally, publicly, in front of everyone like that, it kind of carries more weight than correcting a rookie, an undrafted guy. That spreads further. That message is more meaningful. And coaches do this at like various levels. Like high school, like the best high school coaches would do this. They'll challenge their best players. And sometimes the best players are in on it. But you know what I'm kind of getting at here? It's like a psychological thing about coaching and motivation and making sure everybody's held accountable. It's refreshing in a sense to see it put in action like that in the middle of OTAs, albeit in the middle of May.
Yeah, I was honestly a little worried, Johns, that my question to Ben in the press conference after practice, because I just wanted to hear. I'm like, is this the normal Ben Johnson? Is this what we're going to see every day? And he kind of laughed and he sarcastically was like, I looked agitated. And then he said it's normal, but then he's like, I got to work on my body language. And I couldn't tell if he was being serious about that part or not, because he said
I don't think he was.
But he said he talked to the players about it.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting because what happened last year. But if you talk to anybody who's covered like Lions practices or anybody who's coached with Ben Johnson, like going all the way back to his Dolphins days, this is who Ben Johnson is on the practice field. He's very mild-mannered off the field, kind of like he jokes around with the media a bit. He's very aware. He reads things. But on the field, he's intensely passionate about everything that's going on. The Dolphins guys will tell you stories about he'd be like the sweatiest coach just because of how animated and how into it he was at practice when he was a tight ends coach. And then that carried over to Detroit, where he was just as animated as the offense coordinator working with Jared Goff. I had someone tell me who worked with him in Detroit that he's quite a red ass sometimes on the practice field. And that's okay.
I mean, I
Bears
love
need
it.
That.
I was just
at this point.
Look, who knows how many practices you and I have covered combined. But it's in the high hundreds, if not 1,000, over the years. And a part of me was just like, I don't want to say stunned yesterday, but you fall into what's normal at Hallis Hall too. It's like just what we've seen over the years. And I was like, that was not normal. That was, in my opinion, that was a very clear standard being raised. And I loved it.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, don't change your body language, Ben Johnson. No. Keep that going. I love it.
And I hope it is normal for him. My understanding it is quite normal. Let's compare that to the interactions that we saw between another Bears head coach and another former tight end years ago in Bourbonnais. Do you remember the days where Mark Trestman would run down the field after completions, catches made by Martellus Bennett, just to make sure Martellus Bennett ran back to the huddle?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? He would run down the field, literally 15, 20 yards sometimes, congratulate him on the catch, and they would run back to the huddle together.
Like holding his hand. Not literally.
Not that far. But in a figurative sense, yes.
Yeah.
I thought about that when I saw the new head coach yell at the veteran tight end about a mistake at OTAs today and like lit him up in front of everyone. There's a lot of reasons for it, like as you laid out. I like it. I'm pretty sure Cole Kmet liked it in a sense. That was my number one takeaway from OTAs yesterday. Seeing Ben Johnson actually coach like his players, like rookie minicamp is rookie minicamp, but to see actually him out there with his actual veterans, his real players, felt notable.
What about how things looked? Any strong thoughts on that?
No, I like some of the concepts that they're using. Receivers will open. Just one general takeaway in Caleb Williams. Maybe he held the ball a little bit too long. Like you don't want incompletions and scrambles and certain drills where he can't be hit. I thought the offensive line's protection wasn't good at times, where I think you had some bad matchups, but it's middle of May. I'm not trying to get too carried away by what I saw offensively or defensively.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect things to look clean in the second practice, specifically pre-snap. Like guys, like this is literally their second day of actually going out there and running the stuff that they've been installing, in meetings over the last month or so. I agree that I'd like post snap. I would have liked to see things just a little bit cleaner. I do like that the ball wasn't really on the ground at all in 7-on-7. I think it hit the ground once and there was a flag thrown. They actually had officials out there yesterday, and there was a holding or pass interference called on that one. There was one that he never threw the ball. He just sort of ran out of bounds for a short gain. Nobody was really open, but there weren't a lot of balls on the ground on 7-on-7. I like that. But when they were running team, yeah, it just didn't seem super clean. And I think that was probably feeding the agitation too of the head coach. But again, it's day 2 of practice. And what I always say that's hard about evaluating, we go through this every year, as I said off the top. There's essentially 3 practices every week. We only get to see one. So, Caleb Williams could have looked like Patrick Mahomes on Tuesday, but we saw him look like he did yesterday. Like, so it's tough to really judge the sample size. I always like to zoom out once at least veteran mini camps over, because we get 3 days in a row and it's been at least 3 weeks of us seeing a total of, at that point, 5 practices. Like that's a little bit better of a sample size to start really judging things. I will say though, over the years, I do think when you have that larger sample size and you do start to make some conclusions off that, again, it's not end all be all. There's no pads on. It's not a full pass rush. We get all that. But we have seen over the years, John, some stuff carry over. And it's not just the quarterback. It's other positions too. We've definitely seen trends, let's call them trends, in OTAs carry over into the regular season over the years. And so I do think it's important to not completely dismiss everything that is seen in June and May.
Or we're not June. Yeah, we're not in June yet.
I wish it was June.
Let's see. Oh, can we get better weather in June? Let's see what those trends actually are. I think that's where I would probably base my analysis on things right now. We don't know the trends. As you said, it's one practice. Caleb Williams did hit some throws down the field. He had a nice one to DJ Moore around along the left sideline. So plays were made. Maybe Ben Johnson is really testing the offense right now, and that was maybe a reason for his agitation. Maybe that was a reason for the pre-snap penalties and mental mistakes. So we don't know how much is on their plate. It's getting to me. It's getting used to seeing different players doing different things. Like Grady Jarrett wearing number 50 as a defensive tackle. It's a bit different. Dayo Odangbo wearing 55 as a defensive end. Mm-hmm. 2 famous Bears numbers of linebackers. So seeing that in the line of scrimmage, like you're doing double takes just to make sure who they are on the field.
Well, and Daniel Hardy's still wearing 92, but apparently playing linebacker now.
It's true.
Oh, we're getting a little confused with the numbers.
Happens every year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's all that needs to be said there. Since we're on Caleb, I mean, we do need to discuss just What'd you think about him not talking yesterday? It's obviously the big topic of discussion. It was the back page of the Sun-Times this morning.
Like, I'm not surprised he didn't talk. He will talk. I guess here's like my little mini rant on the media. Can we wait for the real chapter, like the actual excerpt of the book to come out before thoroughly, overly analyzing what is said? They release certain parts of that chapter to help sell the book. Maybe one of the sexiest things in the entire book. You know, I'm sure there'll be more. The book's not coming out until September, like you said, like after the opener against the Vikings. So there's plenty of time. Probably still being edited as we speak. So I don't know, that's where I stand on it. It's like what we got was something sexy, something headline worthy that leads to conversation, that leads to interviews, that leads to discussion, all meant to sell a book. And I get it. I tried to sell a book too. I think it's going to be an outstanding book. Seth is one of the best football writers there is. But just in terms of the analysis and everything that has followed, can we wait for the actual book to come out to see what we're actually dealing with here?
Look, I think there's a million fair points being made with this. And that's why it's kind of a tough topic. I mean, all the way from, with what you just said is completely fair. But they're also the ones that put the juicy stuff out there as bait.
And we all took it.
Yeah, but it's also like it was a story. I mean, look, nothing else. Even if you're going to be like, hey, we knew all this, which I've said too. The one thing we did not know that is 100% a story, no matter who the quarterback is, no matter who the teams are involved. Him telling his dad he wanted to be a Minnesota Viking. That is a story. It might be a pre-draft story that isn't coming out till now.
But then he meets with the Bears.
Yeah.
And you know how fluid everything is before the draft. I can do it for this team, Caleb told his dad. I'm going to go to the Bears.
Yeah, so all of this is fair. Yes. So if you're he decided to be a Bear at the end. That's a fair point. We should wait for the book to come out. That's a fair point. But also anybody saying yesterday he should have just talked and then people would stop talking about this probably until September. That's also a fair point. And instead it's going to come up next week or the week after that whenever he does talk.
2 weeks from now.
He's talking in 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Okay. So mini camp in 2. There you go. So then it's going to come up in 2 weeks instead of just being dead today. Because I agree, like people, this will go away temporarily until the book comes out, and then we will get the full story. So like there's a million fair points on this, and I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world. As I've said a million times, no player, no team needs to win more than the Bears and Caleb Williams. Just win some games and all of this will go away. Beat the Vikings. That would help a lot considering they're the team mentioned in this book. And you're going to go up against J.J. McCarthy in week 1 on Monday Night Football.
And they drafted the local kid from LaGrange and Nazareth High School.
Who, by the way, the Bears really like too.
Yes. Might have been their number 2 quarterback. My read on this whole thing is, yes, all the reasons the Williams family were concerned about the Bears, like those are all valid concerns. We've detailed many of them on this podcast. In my writing, I know I have. The whole cycle of change that seems to circle around these quarterbacks for various reasons, from Jay Cutler's different offensive coordinators to different head coaches to letting Matt Nagy, Ryan Pace draft Justin Fields and then firing the next year. Like, I get it. They should be concerned about all this, but I still think at the end of the day, like Ryan Poles probably deserves credit for this, for standing firm, for telling Caleb Williams why he believes in him and why he wants him here. And then Caleb Williams accepting the challenge. Like, if you want to be great, want to be a legend, be the first good quarterback the Chicago Bears in modern history. That's something. And that's why I appreciated Ben Johnson's answer, saying that he likes that challenge. He wants that challenge about changing that narrative.
Yeah, well, Caleb certainly wouldn't be the first football player who had concerns about coming to Chicago. It's just a reality, especially at that position. But wide receivers too, this isn't the first time. This has been coming up our entire lives, quite frankly.
Yeah. I thought this was where receivers went to die.
Well, that's what it was. Now it's quarterbacks. I think the running backs are safe for now.
Defensive ends seem to do okay. And Julius Peppers might be. Khalil Mack did well. Yeah, defensive ends are okay. Pass rushers are okay.
What about left tackles? We got to talk about that situation too.
Were you surprised to see Karan Amagaji with the starters?
No, I was a little bit surprised, and maybe you can help me with this because I wasn't sure if Ozzie Trapillo was with the third team or they were rotating.
I believe we're going off quarterback.
No, I had 3 different lines written down.
Okay.
And the second line left tackle was Josh Miles.
What I saw was just a lot of different rotation, even the quarterbacks. Like Case Keenum one time seemed to be with the 2s.
Yeah, that surprised me.
Tyson Bagent then was with the 2s. So different rotations. But what stood out to me is where Ozzie actually was.
Left tackle.
Yeah,
I expected that. I just didn't know if he'd get any first-team reps or not. And from what I saw, he did not. So, hey, it's a good opportunity for Karan. Remember, this time last year, he wasn't practicing. That didn't help coming from the Ivy League. Really didn't get going until late training camp, right? Essentially.
Just a tough rookie year for a player who actually required a lot of time to develop and get healthy.
Right. So now he seems to be healthy, seems to get these reps that he needs right now with Braxton Jones out. But this is definitely one of those spots where, I don't know. I guess I would be surprised if Ozzie Trapillo, who's a second-round pick, that's not nothing, it doesn't see some time with the ones before Braxton Jones gets back. I think the Bears would be doing themselves a disservice to not at least check that.
You're talking about during OTAs and veteran minicamp.
Yeah.
Where he's getting reps against Montez Sweat or Odangbo.
100%.
I'm for it. You have to see it.
Yeah.
I want to say I saw one bad snap, one bad rep by Giant Johns. I forget who the pass rusher was, though. But you got to catch up to the speed. It's a different level of athlete, different level of speed at the NFL level.
Man, for a second there, I thought you were going to tell me like Drew Dahlman had a bad snap. I'm like, we can't be doing that again, too.
No, I didn't see any of that.
Me neither. I didn't notice that at all. Snap seemed clean. Let's raise that bar.
It's nice not to have that as a storyline where you have the transitional center in place.
Hey, I will say this for, Coleman, Shelton, snaps were not a problem last year. That was a big upgrade. But also a great job by the Bears going out and getting Drew Dahlman paying at that position and hopefully bring some stability there. I would say the only other thing, Johns, that I was, disappointed about, but just I counted 12 guys not there. That's a lot.
Well, Andrew Billings, Kyler Gordon, and Zach Pickens seem to be the notable ones.
Right. And those are the ones where we're like, we don't think there's any injuries. Like Billings should be back from his injury last year. Right. This is voluntary. I don't have a huge problem. And I don't really have any concerns about any of the individuals per se. Although, again, I don't know if Zach Pickens is banged up or what, but that's a guy where I'm like, you should probably be at practice.
That's the interesting one. Like Kyler Gordon, good player, just got his contract. He's fine. Could have something going on. Could have an injury. Could have some personal commitments elsewhere. It happens. We've seen it every single year we've covered this team. Same thing with Andrew Billings. You know what you're getting out of Andrew Billings. He's been in the league too long. The Bears, with all their changes, still like Andrew Billings. But Zach Pickens, you have to earn your spot on this team again, I think. Especially after they drafted the defensive tackle and signed a defensive tackle.
Terrell Smith was another one. Third-year player who I think still got an opportunity to see playing time. Again, we don't know what's going on with these guys, so I don't want to really get into individual concerns. Some are obviously injuries. Braxton Jones, Ian Wheeler's coming back from his ACL last year. Some of these are not surprising. But when I see like a tweet from our friends that cover the New York Jets, and they're like, yeah, it's basically perfect attendance for Aaron Glenn's OTA practice yesterday. 12 guys out just seems to be more than usual. So I don't know.
Are you concerned about Luther Burden's absence?
Yes. Because soft tissue didn't really seem to go in line with what we saw him get banged up with. Well, I don't know.
It's May.
Well, remember, we saw him get banged up at rookie minicamp. That was a couple weeks ago. He seemingly came back Sunday. Now, a couple weeks later,
but we were basing that off a video shared by the Bears, but maybe that video was captured the day before.
Well, actually, I did some investigative reporting on that. That video was definitely not from Sunday. He was wearing different undergarments, like the sleeves and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you were doing some serious investigative reporting.
Yeah, it's serious investigation. The the tights were a different color.
So it wasn't from. It was an earlier video. Is what you're saying?
The highlights the Bears put out on that Sunday were not from Sunday.
Got it.
However, you were out there. Mark Carman was out. Mark Carman said he was out there. They just didn't do a whole lot.
That practice was like 15 minutes long.
I know. That's what I mean. It doesn't really count. But soft tissue injuries aren't the end of the world unless they're.
I think this is we're all kind of scarred from the past because of the Kevin White stuff. But at least Ben Johnson didn't say, "Oh, he's gonna be ready by training camp. He's got shin splints." We didn't get that answer from him. And
I will say though, he left it pretty open ended.
He did.
He's just like it was more so like we're not really sure when we're gonna get him back, or we'll see when we get him back. Not like he should be back next week. I do like that he addressed it though. Like these don't have to be state secrets. Because we've seen other coaches that would have been like, we're not going to talk about injuries right now. So I do like that part.
We've seen a few coaches like that.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that doesn't seem like one of my early positives on Ben Johnson is he does not seem to be caught up in the weeds on that type of stuff. Like now that could change. We'll see what it's like when we get closer to the season and he's trying to keep stuff from the Minnesota Vikings. But doesn't seem to be a huge concern.
To wrap this up, what are you looking for next week? Since it's fresh in your mind now.
Well, this is a little contradictory, but because I want to see Ben be just as hard on those guys. I don't want to see that waiver. However, I'd like to see a cleaner practice where he doesn't need to be as agitated, if that makes sense. So in other words, I want him to keep that same demeanor, but hey, play better. So it's not a problem.
I think he's still going to be agitated even during a good day.
Yeah. Okay.
Like his standards are just so high where Caleb Williams could be 7 for 7 for nothing but chunk plays down the field. But then on his 8th snap, he misses a check down on a blitz or a hot read. Let him be furious. Let him get on his quarterback for that. Let him get on his running back for not being out where he needs to be. Like I want him to keep that energy so we can actually cover a 4,000-yard passer for the first time in our careers. Adam Hoge.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Chase perfection, even though it's unattainable. But always be chasing it. I mean, that's how usually the great players and the great teams become great. And that's just has never been really the standard here. Just hasn't been. I mean, they've talked about stuff like that before, but we've never actually seen that.
Things always seem to come up with the Chicago Bears. Let's hope that's not the case, or not as impactful.
Right, which I get is I think part of the let's just call it annoyance of that story with the book coming out. I think that's really what it is. It's like things have been, like you said, there's always something coming up, and it's just like, really? Things are going so good here. Like since the day Ben Johnson was hired, everything was going great, and then like a Bears.
But that's like some of that's like in the past now. Like Caleb Williams was extremely excited about the Ben Johnson hiring.
I know,
and he's here's my main takeaway out of all this. Now that I've had time to think about it, and I'm thinking about Kevin Fishbane, what he just said in the Slack message. So I'm giving Kevin Fishbane some credit for this.
He just slacked you right now?
He sent it earlier this morning.
Okay.
Busy morning.
He was texting me late last night, and now he's slacking you early in the morning?
He does
sleep?
He does that.
By the way, remind me before we get out of here, I got to yell at you about something.
Okay. Now I'm curious.
Fishbane slack.
Now we'll know how hard Caleb Williams really wants to be coached.
Yeah.
He said he wanted it. There's a book maybe potentially detailing it. We don't know. I actually can't wait to read the book. Like I said before, Seth has had great books. He's been at ESPN forever. He's one of the best NFL writers there is. It's going to be a fascinating book. But now, moving forward with Ben Johnson, who's going to coach Caleb Williams extremely hard, we'll see how he responds to it. We'll see if this pairing works. We'll see if he actually wants that type of coaching. This is important.
I thought he handled it well yesterday. It is important. Like you can see a couple times he was like, oh, but like he'd get right back in the huddle and yeah.
See, maybe that's or maybe that's where the body language, like maybe that's what we're watching. Maybe he doesn't want his quarterback acting that way. Maybe he doesn't want himself acting that way. Ben Johnson, where like a mistake happens and he's like throwing his hands up in the air. Maybe just a shrug or like the old fake throw of the papers. Something less animated.
I love it. I saw Case Keenum throw his towel yesterday. I think it was actually after. Well, maybe it wasn't a complete, but yeah, he wasn't happy about a throw and he slammed his towel down.
See, I thought he threw it because a flag was thrown on that play. I thought he was throwing it because it was a flag.
Oh, so he was simulating a flag throw.
I also saw him and Dennis Allen have a funny little interaction where Dennis Allen and him are walking to the huddle at the same time, and Dennis Allen blocked him. Then Keenan Allen blocked him, and then they kind of like blocked each other, having fun out there. A little bit veteran quarterback, veteran coach. Fun little nugget.
He's 37 years old. It's one of those guys in the league where you're like, man, I remember when you came out of college. What's happening here to time?
Do you remember the year he had for the Minnesota Vikings where he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league?
Yeah, the Minneapolis Miracle.
Yeah.
All
right, what's your bone to pick?
So Jaws and I were on the phone last night, right about like 9:15, and I had just put my kids to bed. So I had been watching both the basketball and the hockey game, but was, not, they weren't in front of me. I stepped away to call Johns.
I know where you're going with this.
I could tell he had the game on in the background. I just said, hey, what's the score? What's going on? And he was like, oh, the Knicks are pulling away. This thing's over.
They were up by like 18.
I know. So I'm like, all right. And my wife wanted to watch the Hunt for Bin Laden doc that's out on Netflix. We had watched like the first 2 episodes the night before. We had to watch the third one, which was a little bit longer. So I'm like, I got off the phone with you, and I'm like, well, don't have to worry about turning that back on. Which was actually a double fail on my part because I'd also decided not to turn the hockey game back on, and the Stars came back in that too. So it was a huge fail, but I would have turned on that game had you not told me it was over. and then the doc was over. Yeah.
Shame on me for forgetting that defense isn't actually played in the NBA anymore.
Right. Did you watch it or did you turn
mean,
it off too?
No, I watched the end of it. I
Oh,
did.
okay.
I saw the end of it. And
Man.
the Pacers thought they had, Tyrese Halliburton did the old Reggie Miller choke thing, but he didn't actually hit the game winner. They went to overtime and they still won. Fun game.
Which is phenomenal. Like, that's one of those things where it kind of sucks his toe was on the line because, look, man, you can still bring the old 90s Bulls out of me, and I'll be like, any hatred. I'm
And
conflicted
Reggie
with
Miller's
the,
calling the game.
well, I know, and apparently there's a photo of him like pointing back at Tyrese, like, hell yeah, man. Look here, I gotta say, and I don't know if any Bulls fans can relate to me on this one. I'm like conflicted with the Knicks because deep down I still hate the Knicks, and I should be careful because I'm going to New York City this weekend. So please welcome me. But I love Tom Thibodeau, and Jalen Brunson's
From
from
Chicago. He's from Chicago.
he's from like right where I live. Like before we moved a couple years ago, we were in the Stevenson district too. Like, and I love Chicago high school basketball, so I'm always going to root for Chicago guys. So between Brunson, who I've literally seen at the gym I go to, and Tibbs, like, I kind of want the Knicks to win, but at the same time, it's the Knicks. So when stuff like last night happens to them, I'm like, ha ha ha. At the same time,
That history, I love that it still lives with you because it still lives with me.
Yeah.
My youngest son was asking me who I was rooting for, and I was trying to explain, a long time ago, son, the Bulls games versus the Pacers and the Knicks, especially, like the Knicks used to be a rival. Like those were something. And he's like, well, I'm rooting for the Knicks. I'm like, well, that's okay, but Jalen Brunson from Chicago. I told him that, and he thought that was really cool. And then I'm like, let me tell you about John Starks. There's a long list of Knicks players that when I was your age, coming home from baseball games, right, and turning on the playoffs, the NBA Finals, like that I absolutely like hated growing up. Well, like when John Starks tripped Scottie Pippen, still remember it. Still remember it till this day.
So if you were to ask me right now, like who is the NBA player I hate the most my entire life, it is still John Starks to this day. And there was it's actually related to this conversation because I don't know if he goes to all the games, but he was at a game, one of these playoff games recently. He was like sitting courtside or something.
Starks
was. Yeah. And I was having the same conflicted feelings like, I'm supposed to hate the Knicks, but I kind of like these guys. And then they flashed to John Starks, and it was like instant. I'm like, hope the Knicks lose. That's all it took for me. I'm like, nope, I hope the Knicks lose.
That was basketball at its absolute best. When there's a little bit of hate involved and those rivalries are so real.
The anniversary of the Pippen dunk on Ewing was 2 days ago.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah. Those are the days, man. Also, we're old.
That was basketball.
All right. Well, if you're a Knicks fan and you see me on the streets of New York City this weekend, please be nice. My buddy's getting married. So I love New York City, especially this time of year.
Fun.
You can enjoy your 50-degree weather here. I'm going, I think it's going to be in the 70s there. I might just stay there.
Enjoy. Bring it back with you.
Yeah, I'll try. All right, fun episode. Fun week, too. If you missed the conversation with Ross Tucker earlier in the week, please go check that out. That was a fun conversation. Ross is always super informed, super opinionated, and not much of a hot take artist either. So I appreciate that about Ross Tucker. It's good to have him on the show. And yeah, we'll be back next week. A couple more episodes coming your way. Another OTA for us to cover. We'll see how things evolve from this first one that we saw. Hope everybody enjoys their Memorial Day weekend. Unofficial start to summer, just without the weather, I guess. Yeah, be safe out there. Enjoy your extended weekend. Spend time with your families, friends, whatever you do on Memorial Day. We'll talk to you next week.
See ya.